Hey, you coming to save us? They coming to save us?
Yeah, please. Fucking please. I'm off this bitch. Oh my granny, I don't play with shit like this.
Come here, that shit is hurt. I'm gonna pull that bitch. Pull that. Hey, don't hear that shit, bro.
Fucking please. Please. It's stuck. The anchor's stuck. The anchor's stuck. Help. What the fuck is they fucking? He's talking about we're in a dangerous location.
Stop the boat. It's a boat. They can't just stop and walk across.
I'm talking about the waves and the current was just crazy. So you got the anchor falling down, you got the wave.
Been a busy day for the Chicago Fire Department and police department's rescue crews. We've seen them all over the lakefront here trying to manage these rescues. Now, there was a bunch of firefighters and scuba dive teams out here about an hour ago. Now they are all gone. We'll go straight to that video where Chicago Fire tells us they were responding to a call of 2 people in the water here at 63rd Street Beach. One person managed to get themselves out of the water and back to shore, but the fire department tells us another person was still missing. So divers and helicopters were in this area. We saw them leave about 30 minutes ago. So we're not sure if they've been able to find that body or they're turning this over to a recovery mission.
It was a hot Saturday in Chicago, one of those summer days where everybody's out trying to enjoy themselves. Zahrie got invited by a friend to join Black Yacht Weekend, this big, unofficial event where people rent boats, blast music, and hang out on the water near Navy Pier. She was ready for a break from her busy schedule, so she hopped on a yacht with some friends. She posted a quick Instagram story that day, smiling in a bikini, the lake behind her, captioning it something like, "Time to have some fun." The vibe was chill. Music playing, people laughing, the Chicago skyline looking sharp in the background. It was supposed to be a day to remember for all the right reasons. But around 5:15 p.m., things took a turn. Zahrie was standing near the edge of the yacht when she lost her balance and fell into Lake Michigan. The water was deep, the waves were rough, and she wasn't wearing a life jacket. People on the boat noticed she was gone and started shouting. Someone threw a life ring, and a friend even jumped in to try to save her. But the currents were too strong. Rescue teams got there as fast as they could, pulling her out of the water and rushing her to Northwestern Memorial Hospital. Doctors did everything they could, but it wasn't enough. Zahrie was pronounced dead that evening, at just 27 years old. Her mom, Kizzy, her sister, Tia, and her whole community were left heartbroken, trying to make sense of it all. Here's the thing, the police called it an accident. Zahrie drowned after falling off the boat. But when you hear the details, it's hard not to wonder. How does someone fall off a yacht with a bunch of people around and nobody catches it in time? Why didn't she have a life jacket on when they were right there on the boat? Was the captain paying attention, or was the party vibe too distracting? And then there's this. Zahrie's best friend, Kennica Jenkins, died back in 2017 in a crazy, unexplained way, found in a hotel freezer. 2 best friends, both young, both gone in weird circumstances. Is that just bad luck, or is there something we're missing? Before we jump in, I need y'all to do something for me. Hit that subscribe button. Let's grow this channel so we can keep shining a light on stories like Zahrie's. Drop a comment below. Where are you watching from? What do you think about this case? Do you buy that it was just an accident, or do you feel like something's off? Maybe you've been on a boat trip where things got sketchy. Tell us about it. Your comments mean a lot, and they might help us see this case in a new way. Oh, and share this video with a friend or family member. Zahrie's story could make us all think twice about safety. Let's get into it. Zahrie's life, her last day, and the truth we're still chasing. This is Dark Truth Files, and we're here for the real.
63rd Street Beach has now turned into a recovery operation. These incidents, combined with other reports that we've heard throughout the weekend, has boat safety experts reminding people to take extra precaution on Lake Michigan.
Zahrie got talent. She was amazing. She was beautiful. She was sweet. She was kind.
A West Side vigil honoring the 27-year-old woman who was pulled from Lake Michigan on Saturday. Zahrie Walls' family trying to make sense of her loss as Chicago police investigate her death. Police say she was found in the waters near Navy Pier. That same day, the Chicago Fire Department responded to reports of 2 people in Lake Michigan at 63rd Street Beach. Fire officials say 1 person got out. Divers and helicopters searched the area for the missing male, but the rescue mission turned into a recovery operation. This all playing out during the first weekend of summer that drew large crowds and several boats into Chicago's playpen. Safe Chicago sharing this video of a boat that U.S. Coast Guard officials say sunk into the water on Friday. Today, buoys seen floating above the sunken vessel to warn nearby boaters and swimmers.
Zahrie Walls was more than a hairstylist. She was a force, a beacon of creativity, ambition, and love in Chicago's West Side. Born in 1997, Zahrie grew up in a city of contrasts, where towering skyscrapers loomed over tight-knit neighborhoods, and dreams were forged through grit and determination. From a young age, she was a caretaker, a dreamer, and a hustler. Her mother, Zahrie Walls, remembers Zahrie as a girl who always had that magic hand, braiding hair on their porch as a teenager, transforming her friends into works of art. By 14, Zahrie knew her calling. Hair wasn't just a job. It was her canvas, her passion, and her way of uplifting others. Zahrie's talent was undeniable. She had an eye for detail, a knack for innovation, and a warmth that made every client feel like family. She graduated from Collins Academy High School, a milestone that marked her as a first-generation success story in her family. But it was her hustle that set her apart. While her peers were still figuring out their paths, Zahrie was building an empire. She opened Z-Style Suites, her own salon in Chicago's medical district, where she styled everyone from local moms to influencers and celebrities. Her Instagram was a digital portfolio of her work, vibrant cornrows, intricate weaves, and bold transformations that earned her over 75,000 followers. Clients called her Z-Money, not just for her skill, but for her relentless work ethic, often handling 10 to 12 appointments a day, traveling across cities to meet her clientele. But Zahrie was more than her work. She was a daughter who adored her mother, Kizzy, and a big sister to her younger sibling, Tia. She doted on her goddaughter, showering her with love and gifts. Friends described her as humble, always quick to laugh, and fiercely loyal. Her condo in the medical district was a sanctuary, a place where she could unwind, listen to music, and dream of her next big move. Zahrie loved to travel, often posting about her adventures to new cities, her outfits always on point, her energy infectious. She was the kind of person who lit up a room, who made you feel seen and valued, whether you were a client or a stranger. Yet, beneath her radiant exterior, Zahrie carried a quiet grief. In 2017, her best friend, Kennica Jenkins, died under mysterious circumstances at just 19, found in a hotel freezer in Rosemont, Illinois. The case gripped Chicago and the nation, sparking debates about foul play, negligence, and justice. Zahrie was devastated. She had known Kennica since high school, and the two were inseparable. Zahrie even had Kennica's name tattooed on her body as a permanent tribute. On social media, Zahrie often posted about her friend, sharing memories and calling for answers in Kennica's case. The loss left a mark, but it also fueled Zahrie's drive to live fully, to chase her dreams, and to honor her friend's memory through her own success. Zahrie's community adored her. In Chicago's West Side, where systemic challenges like poverty and violence often cast a shadow, Zahrie was a light. She employed local women, mentored young stylists, and gave back through her work. Her salon wasn't just a business. It was a haven where women could feel empowered, beautiful, and heard. Clients shared stories of Zahrie staying late to perfect a hairstyle, offering advice, or just listening with a kind ear. "She made you feel like a queen," one client wrote on Instagram. Another said, "Zahrie didn't just do hair, she gave you confidence." Zahrie's rise wasn't without sacrifice. She worked tirelessly, often forgoing social outings to focus on her craft. Her mother, Kizzy, told the Chicago Tribune, "She doesn't go out much because she works all the time, traveling to different cities. My baby works so hard." But when Zahrie did step away from her salon, she embraced life fully. She loved music, fashion, and moments of joy with her friends. On June 21, 2025, when a friend invited her for a spontaneous boating trip during Black Yacht Weekend, Zahrie saw a rare chance to let loose. She donned a bikini, grabbed her sunglasses, and boarded a yacht near Navy Pier, ready for a day of laughter and freedom. Little did she know, it would be her last. Zahrie Walls wasn't just a victim in a news story. She was a woman who built a legacy through her talent, her heart, and her unbreakable spirit. Her story reminds us that behind every tragedy is a human being, a life filled with dreams, love, and connections that ripple far beyond their final moments. As we move forward, we'll step into the day that changed everything, piecing together the fragments of a tragedy that still haunts those who loved her. June 21, 2025, dawned bright and blistering in Chicago. The temperature soared to 95 degrees Fahrenheit, with the heat index pushing past 100, making it one of the hottest days of the summer. The city buzzed with energy as thousands flocked to Lake Michigan for Black Yacht Weekend, a sprawling, unofficial gathering of boaters celebrating community and culture. Navy Pier, with its iconic Ferris wheel and bustling restaurants, was the epicenter of the action. Dozens of yachts, speedboats, and pontoons crowded the Playpen, a popular party cove where music blared, drinks flowed, and influencers captured every moment for social media. Zahrie Walls woke up that morning with a rare break in her schedule. Known for her relentless work ethic, she rarely took time off, but the allure of a day on the water was too tempting. A friend had invited her to join a group on a rented yacht, a chance to unwind and soak in the summer vibes. Zahrie posted a video on her Instagram story around midday, smiling in a bright bikini, the lake sparkling behind her. "Ready for some fun?" she captioned it, her excitement palpable. By 2 p.m., she was aboard the yacht, surrounded by friends and strangers, all caught up in the festive atmosphere. The yacht was a mid-sized vessel, capable of holding about 12 to 15 people. The deck was lively. Music blasted through portable speakers, and guests mingled, some sipping drinks, others dancing or leaning over the rails to wave at nearby boats. The captain, a hired professional, steered the yacht through the Playpen, navigating the crowded waters. The lake, deceptively calm at first, began to stir as the afternoon wore on. A strong south wind, reported by the National Weather Service, whipped across the water, creating choppy waves that rocked the boats. By 4:30 p.m., the mood on the yacht was still upbeat, but the conditions were shifting. The heat was oppressive, and the constant rocking of the boat made it harder to stay steady. Zahrie, standing near the starboard side, was chatting with friends, occasionally gripping the railing as the yacht swayed. Witnesses later told police she was in good spirits, laughing and taking photos. But the lake was unforgiving. Lake Michigan, often compared to an ocean for its size and unpredictability, can turn treacherous in moments. Currents beneath the surface can pull with relentless force, and waves can swell without warning. At approximately 5:15 p.m., disaster struck. According to witnesses, a particularly strong wave hit the yacht, causing it to lurch. Zahrie, standing near the edge, lost her balance. In a split second, she slipped over the low railing and plunged into the dark, churning water below. Shouts erupted on the deck. "She fell!" someone screamed. Friends rushed to the edge, scanning the water, but the waves made it hard to spot her. The yacht was moving slowly, but it didn't stop immediately, creating distance between Zahrie and the boat. Panic set in. A few passengers threw a life ring toward the spot where Zahrie had gone under, but the currents were too strong. One friend reportedly dove in after her, but the rough water made it impossible to reach her. The captain was alerted, and the yacht began to circle back, but precious seconds ticked by. Someone dialed 911 at 5:18 p.m., reporting a woman in the water near Navy Pier. Nearby boats slowed down, their passengers watching in horror as the situation unfolded. By 5:30 p.m., the U.S. Coast Guard and Chicago Fire Department arrived with rescue boats and divers. The water was murky, visibility low. Divers plunged into the lake, guided by coordinates from the yacht's captain. After several agonizing minutes, they located Zahrie, unconscious beneath the surface. She was hoisted onto a rescue boat, where paramedics immediately began CPR. The boat sped toward shore, sirens blaring, as paramedics fought to revive her. At 5:45 p.m., Zahrie was transferred to an ambulance at the dock and rushed to Northwestern Memorial Hospital, just a few miles away. At the hospital, doctors worked frantically. Machines beeped, monitors flashed. But Zahrie showed no signs of recovery. Her body had been underwater too long, starved of oxygen. At approximately 6:30 p.m., after exhaustive efforts, the lead doctor pronounced her dead. The news spread like wildfire. Friends who had gathered at the hospital collapsed in grief. Zahrie Walls, Zahrie's mother, arrived in an Uber, her heart sinking as she learned the truth. "I just knew," she later told the Chicago Tribune. "A mother knows." The day that began with laughter and sunlight ended in silence and sorrow. But as the sun set over Lake Michigan, questions began to rise. How did Zahrie, surrounded by people, slip away so quickly? Why wasn't she wearing a life jacket? And what role did the chaos of Black Yacht Weekend play in this tragedy? In the aftermath of Zahrie Walls' death, the Chicago Police Department launched an investigation to piece together the events of June 21, 2025. The official report labeled her death an accident, caused by drowning after a fall from a yacht during Black Yacht Weekend. But the simplicity of that conclusion didn't sit well with everyone. Zahrie's family, friends, and online community demanded answers. How could a vibrant, cautious woman slip into the lake unnoticed? Was it truly an accident? Or did negligence, or something worse, play a role? Let's examine the key players, the conditions, and the theories that emerged. The yacht's captain, a hired professional whose identity was not publicly released, was the first point of scrutiny. Responsible for navigating the vessel and ensuring passenger safety, the captain was at the helm when Zahrie fell. Police interviewed him extensively, focusing on the boat's speed, the handling of the rough waters, and the enforcement of safety protocols. Witnesses reported the yacht was moving slowly through the crowded playpen, but the strong waves, driven by 15 to 20 miles per hour winds, made stability a challenge. The captain claimed he was unaware of Zahrie's position on the deck until shouts alerted him to the fall. He stated he followed protocol, circling back to the spot, but the delay in stopping the boat raised questions. Was he distracted? Did he fail to monitor the deck? No evidence suggested intoxication or malice, and the police cleared him of criminal liability. Yet, some wondered if his focus on navigation left the passengers unsupervised. The yacht carried 12 to 15 people, a mix of Zahrie's friends and acquaintances invited by the boat's renter, a friend of Zahrie's whose name was withheld. Witnesses described a festive but crowded atmosphere, with music, dancing, and drinks. Some passengers admitted to consuming alcohol, though no reports confirmed Zahrie was intoxicated. Statements to police were consistent. Zahrie was near the railing, laughing and taking photos, when a wave caused the boat to tilt. No one reported seeing her fall in real time. only the aftermath, when she was already in the water. This raised a chilling question. Was the group too caught up in the party to notice her slipping? One friend who dove in to save her said the waves were too strong, pulling Zahrie under before he could reach her. The lack of immediate action fueled speculation online, with some accusing the group of negligence. However, police found no evidence of foul play, no arguments, no physical altercations, and no marks on Zahrie's body suggesting she was pushed. Black Yacht Weekend, while a cultural staple, is not a centrally organized event. It's a loose collective of boaters who gather annually, with no single entity overseeing safety. Organizers posted a since-deleted Instagram statement expressing heartbreak over a death in the lake, urging attendees to wear life jackets and avoid overcrowding. They clarified that Zahrie's boat was not officially part of their events, but her presence in the playpen tied her to the weekend's chaos. Critics pointed to the lack of centralized safety measures, such as mandatory life jacket checks or crowd control, as a contributing factor. Social media posts from attendees, like influencer Jasmine Hood, described boats nearly capsizing due to high waves and overcrowding. Could better oversight have prevented Zahrie's fall? The organizers faced no legal repercussions, but public sentiment held them partially accountable for the dangerous conditions. Lake Michigan, often called the Third Coast for its ocean-like vastness, was a silent but deadly player. Experts like Dave Benjamin of the Great Lakes Surf Rescue Project emphasized its unpredictability. On June 21st, strong south winds created currents that could pull even strong swimmers under. Zahrie, who reportedly didn't know how to swim, was particularly vulnerable without a life jacket. The absence of one was a critical factor. 17% of fatal boating incidents in 2023 were linked to not wearing life vests, per the U.S. Coast Guard. Why wasn't Zahrie wearing one? Were they not provided, or did she decline? The police report noted life jackets were available on the yacht, but not all passengers wore them, a common oversight during festive outings. The lake's conditions, hot, windy, and crowded, amplified the risk, turning a moment of imbalance into a tragedy. Online, theories proliferated. Some ex-users speculated that Zahrie may have been intoxicated, citing unverified claims of her twerking before the fall. Others drew parallels to Kenneka Jenkins' death, suggesting a pattern of mysterious losses among young black women in Chicago. These theories, while emotionally charged, lacked evidence and were dismissed by police. The most plausible explanation remained the official one, an accidental fall during rough conditions. Yet, the lack of clarity, why no one saw her slip, why the rescue was delayed, kept suspicions alive. Could the captain have acted faster? Did the crowded deck obscure the danger? Or was this simply a tragic confluence of heat, waves, and human error? No charges were filed, and the investigation concluded without identifying a single culprit. But the absence of a clear motive or suspect didn't erase the pain. Zahrie's death exposed gaps in boating safety, the risks of crowded events, and the devastating power of nature. As we move forward, new revelations would challenge the initial narrative, keeping this case alive in the public's mind. In the weeks following Zahrie Walls' death, the narrative of a simple accident began to unravel. While the police closed the case as an accidental drowning, new details from witnesses, media reports, and public outcry painted a more complex picture. The tragedy wasn't just about a single fall. It was a collision of systemic oversights, environmental factors, and human error that turned a day of celebration into a nightmare. Let's dive into the twists that reshaped this case and the updates that kept Zahrie's story in the spotlight. Initial reports downplayed the role of weather, but meteorologists later confirmed that June 21, 2025, was exceptionally volatile. The National Weather Service noted that strong south winds, gusting up to 20 miles per hour, created hazardous conditions on Lake Michigan. These winds, combined with the heat index exceeding 100 degrees Fahrenheit, destabilized the air above the lake, producing sudden waves and currents. Dave Benjamin of the Great Lakes Surf Rescue Project told ABC 7 Chicago, Lake Michigan acts as an ocean. Winds are dangerous currents on the Great Lakes. This revelation shifted blame from the yacht's passengers to the unpredictable environment, raising questions about why boats were allowed to operate in such conditions. A bombshell came from posts on X and interviews with Black Yacht Weekend attendees. Influencer Jasmine Hood, known as Lil Perfect, shared a chilling account of her own boat nearly capsizing due to overcrowding and high waves. She noted a lack of life jackets on some vessels and criticized the event's loose organization. Block Club Chicago reported that several charter companies canceled trips that day due to safety concerns. But Zahrie's boat, a private rental, wasn't part of those cancellations. The absence of mandatory safety checks or centralized oversight for Black Yacht Weekend became a focal point. Organizers' deleted Instagram post urging life jacket use after Zahrie's death was seen as a reactive move, sparking outrage among attendees who felt safety was an afterthought. The most haunting twist was the renewed attention on Zahrie's connection to Kenneka Jenkins. Kenneka's 2017 death in a hotel freezer had been a lightning rod for controversy, with many suspecting foul play, despite official rulings of an accident. Zahrie, her best friend, had been vocal about seeking justice for Kenneka, posting tributes and calling for answers. The parallel tragedies, 2 young black women, both dead under unclear circumstances, ignited speculation online. X posts linked the cases, suggesting a pattern of negligence or worse in Chicago's social scene. While police found no evidence connecting the deaths, the emotional weight of losing 2 friends in such mysterious ways fueled public distrust in the official narrative. The Cook County Medical Examiner's report, released days after the incident, confirmed drowning as the cause of death, with no signs of trauma or foul play. However, the report noted Zahrie's lack of a life jacket and her inability to swim, critical factors in her death. Toxicology results, not publicly detailed, found no evidence of intoxication, countering online rumors. The report also highlighted the time gap between Zahrie's fall and her recovery, estimated at 10 to 15 minutes, which likely contributed to her inability to survive. This raised questions about the yacht's emergency preparedness. Why did it take so long to locate her? Were rescue tools readily available? The police report noted life jackets were on board, but their accessibility during the chaos was unclear. Zahrie's death sparked a wave of media coverage and public grief. Outlets like the Chicago Sun-Times, ABC 7 Chicago, and the Daily Mail covered the story, emphasizing her status as a beloved hairstylist and the dangers of Lake Michigan. Social media became a digital memorial, with thousands posting tribute. A GoFundMe campaign, organized by Zahrie Walls, raised funds for a memorial, reflecting the community's love for Zahrie. However, some posts on X claim that Zahrie was twerking before her fall, drew criticism for sensationalizing her death. The media frenzy amplified calls for boating safety reforms, with experts urging stricter regulations for events like Black Yacht Weekend. By late June 2025, the police concluded their investigation, ruling Zahrie's death an accident. No charges were filed against the captain, passengers, or organizers. The U.S. Coast Guard logged the incident as one of several water-related emergencies that weekend, including another drowning and a man losing his foot in a boat collision. Yet, the closure of the case didn't satisfy everyone. Zahrie Walls told CBS Chicago, "We don't know 100% what happened. The lack of transparency about the captain's actions, the boat's safety measures, and the event's oversight left a void filled by speculation and grief." These updates reframed Zahrie's death as a preventable tragedy, highlighting systemic issues in boating safety and event planning. As we move to the present, we'll explore where the case stands today and how Zahrie's legacy continues to inspire change. The case of Zahrie Walls remains officially closed, classified as an accidental drowning by the Chicago Police Department and the Cook County Medical Examiner. No criminal charges were filed, and no further investigations are planned. Yet, the ripples of Zahrie's death continue to spread, through her grieving community, through social media tributes, and through a renewed push for boating safety. Her story is a stark reminder of how quickly joy can turn to tragedy and how the smallest oversights can have devastating consequences. Let's explore where this case stands today, honor Zahrie's memory, and ask the questions that still linger. The police report, finalized in late June 2025, concluded that Zahrie fell from a yacht near Navy Pier due to a combination of rough waves and her proximity to the edge. The absence of a life jacket and her inability to swim were critical factors. The investigation found no evidence of foul play, no marks on her body, no witness accounts of conflict, and no signs of intoxication. The yacht's captain and passengers cooperated fully, and the boat met basic safety standards, though life jacket use was not enforced. The U.S. Coast Guard noted the incident as part of a deadly weekend on Lake Michigan, with at least 2 other deaths and multiple injuries reported. The case was logged as a tragic accident, one of dozens in Chicago's busy summer season. Zahrie's death left a void in Chicago's West Side. Her salon, Stylist, remains a symbol of her legacy, with friends and clients vowing to keep it running in her honor. A candlelight vigil on June 22, 2025, drew hundreds to North Lawndale, where balloons were released and tributes poured in. Zahrie Walls, Zahrie's mother, spoke through tears. "This was my baby. I looked up to her." A GoFundMe campaign raised thousands for a memorial, and social media overflowed with posts celebrating Zahrie's talent and kindness. Her Instagram, now a digital shrine, continues to attract messages from strangers moved by her story. Zahrie's death sparked a broader conversation about boating safety. Experts like Dave Benjamin called for mandatory life jacket laws and stricter oversight for events like Black Yacht Weekend. Block Club Chicago reported that attendees demanded better organization, including designated safety officers and weather monitoring. The Chicago Fire Department, which responded to over 20 water-related calls that weekend, issued statements urging life jacket use and caution in rough waters. Local media amplified these calls, with ABC's 7 Chicago airing segments on Lake Michigan's dangers. On X, hashtags like #Justice for Zahrie trended, blending grief with demands for accountability. Some criticized the lack of centralized event planning, while others pointed to systemic issues, like unequal access to safety education in marginalized communities. The parallels between Zahrie's death and Kenneka Jenkins' 2017 tragedy remain a haunting undercurrent. Both women, close friends, died young in circumstances that left lingering questions. Kenneka's case, ruled an accident but mired in conspiracy theories, resurfaced in discussions about Zahrie. While no evidence links the cases, their shared narrative, young black women lost in public settings, fueled distrust in official reports. Community activists called for renewed scrutiny of both cases, arguing that systemic negligence, from event safety to police investigations, disproportionately affects black communities. Zahrie Walls was a light in a world that often feels dark. Her talent transformed lives, her kindness built bridges, and her hustle inspired countless others. She was a daughter who made her mother proud, a sister who protected her family, and a friend who left an indelible mark. Her salon, her Instagram, and her legacy live on through those she touched. Zahrie Walls told the Chicago Sun-Times, "Anybody can lose a battle with Lake Michigan. Those currents don't play fair." But Zahrie's battle wasn't just with the lake. It was with a moment of oversight that cost her everything. Zahrie's story isn't over. It lives in the questions we must ask. Could stricter safety measures have saved her? Should events like Black Yacht Weekend face tougher regulations? And what can we do to prevent another tragedy? Her death reminds us that safety is not a suggestion. It's a necessity. As we honor Zahrie, let's commit to learning from her loss. Wear a life jacket, stay alert on the water, demand accountability from those who organize our gatherings. Drop a comment below. What do you think could have prevented Zahrie's death? Have you or someone you know faced danger on the water? Share your thoughts, your stories, and your calls for change. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this video to spread Zahrie's story. Together, we can keep her memory alive and push for a safer future. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and keep seeking the truth.